right here. So I'll read this out loud. You can feel free to read with me. It says a pitcher can throw a fastball at 79 feet per second. It's quite fast. If he throws the ball into the air with that velocity, its height h in feet, t seconds after the ball is released, is approximated by that equation. H equals negative 16t squared plus 79t plus 5. Sorry?
6. I'm talking to
Okay. So if you guys ever take a physics class, you will see that this equation is actually accurate and true for what it would typically be. We are neglecting air resistance, and so that's why we say the height is approximated by that. After the ball is thrown, in how many seconds will it hit the ground? So can you picture what's going on here? You got somebody throwing a ball up in the air, and as we all know, unless they throw it into orbit, it'll come back down, right? So what goes up, probably going to come down. So this ball gets thrown into the air, and we want to know in how many seconds will the ball hit the ground. So let's do a little thinking here. The ball is released, it goes up, and it hits the ground. So hitting the ground, that's the key point in time, right? Mm-hmm. What is true about the ball when it hits the ground?
0 height.
0 height. That's the key to all of this. So if the ball is hitting the ground or on the ground, its height is 0. So I can take this equation, that h equals negative 16t squared equation, and I can start off by saying, well, if the ball's on the ground, height is 0. Let's try that again. 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 79t plus 5. And then, of course, the question asked, in how many seconds will it hit the ground? So how many seconds? We're talking about a question about time. And so we want to try to solve this for t. Notice it's a quadratic. And this is actually true to life. The motion of a ball, absent wind resistance, as it's thrown, or anything that's thrown for that matter, not just a ball, is described by a quadratic. So, can I give you a little bit of advice before we rush off and try to solve this? So the advice that I'm going to give you is not going to be mandatory. I think it's potentially very helpful. Did you notice that the a value is negative? The a value is negative. I think that's... You can definitely work with that, but I don't think that that's best. Can I please, those of you that are writing, can I please show you how to deal with that? I would multiply everything through by negative 1. So if I multiply both sides, every single term by negative 1, I get 0 equals positive 16t squared minus 79t minus 5. At this point, I think we can go through our factoring. Is there a GCF? No. Not a GCF. All right. How many terms are there? 3 terms, all right. Of those 3 terms, is the a value 1? No, it's not. So using either split the b or bottoms up is the way to go. I want to work this one with you. When you guys did your AC, Danny, what'd you get?
Oh, I haven't done.
Okay, sorry. Has anybody done the AC yet? Negative 80, yeah. So negative 80 is your AC. Your b value is negative 79. Can anyone think which numbers work here in our diamond? Well, is it 80 and negative 1 or negative 80 and 1?
Negative 80.
It's negative 80 and 1 because that b is negative 79. Nice work. Sometimes those are tough to see. You guys did a nice job. Okay, so if we did, say, bottoms up, 0 equals, and we would have t minus 80 t plus 1. Let's not forget with bottoms up, you've got to divide by your a value. So we divide by 16 and 16. The first one reduces down to be 5. So t minus 5. The second one does not reduce, so we go bottoms up, 16t plus 1. Once you have factored, you can now use the zero factor property. So the zero factor property would be this. T minus 5 equals 0. 16t, bless you, plus 1 equals 0. When we solve, we get these two numbers. T is equal to 5. T is equal to negative 1/16. Of those two numbers, which one makes no sense? The negative 1/16. Let's think about what that would mean. If t was really equal to negative 1/16, that would mean if this pitcher throws the ball in the air, the ball lands on the ground a 1/16 of a second before they threw it. Time only goes forward, right? It doesn't go backwards. And so t equals 5 would be the lone logical answer here. means the ball's in the air for 5 seconds. Think about that for a second. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000. That's a long time. So this person really can throw the ball hard.
Can you do it the other way with split the B?
You're asking me if I will? Sure. Go ahead, Jake.
What happened to the -1?
So I multiplied everything through by it. What's 0 times -1?
0.
0. Yeah, kind of nice with an equation like this. You can just clear all the minus signs that you want to clear by multiplying through by a negative, because 0 times -1 is still 0.
But it doesn't, you have to put it in parentheses though and have the -1 outside. But what happened to that -1 outside?
It got multiplied in. So we did what it told us to do. So like -1 times 0 is 0. -1 times -16t squared is positive 16t squared, so on and so forth. Okay, so Hunter,
Can you just do like the step where it's, I got the split the B part, I just need from there.
yeah. Okay, so split the b. Everything up to this point would be the same. So we would write 0 equals, would be 16t squared minus 80t plus t minus 5.
I thought you had to go like in descending order for like positives and negatives, so I
No.
put it.
You don't have to, you can.
Like what's the order you're supposed to go in? 'Cause if you
There, it
factor-
doesn't matter.
If you factor them both, it should work out the same.
Either way.
Because like I got,
Did you do it the other way?
oh I forgot to put, never mind. I put -79 instead of -5. So then it would change it. I
Yeah,
think I got it.
that would definitely change it.
Divided by 5. So negatives.
You okay? Yeah, so you should have t times 16t plus 1 minus 5 times 16t plus 1.
T equals 5 and T equals 1/16.
Subtract 1, so it'd be negative.
So T.
Yeah, so you'd go minus 1 divided by 16. There you go.
So it'd be -1/16.
Yep. But that one doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Because negative time, the ball's not going to land a fraction of a second before he threw it.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. All right. Any further questions on this one? Okay, so kind of like yesterday. To you, I'll read this out loud, but you guys are going to be working on this on your own. And I'll come around to check, see how you're doing. So it says an arrow is shot into the air from a balcony. The height h in feet of the tip of the arrow, t seconds after being shot, is approximated by something that should look pretty familiar. H equals -16t squared plus 77t plus 15. After how many seconds will the arrow hit the ground? So you guys are working on this with a partner or with your whole table, and we'll see how we go. So just like before, when the arrow hits the ground, the height is 0. So we'd write 0 equals -16t squared plus 77t plus 15. Let's try that again. Plus 15. So just like before, I'm going to multiply everything through by a -1 to clear out that negative a value. So that'll give me 0 equals 16t squared minus 77t. Colby, your question.
This would be on a test, we have to show the -1.
Nope. Nope, I think you're good. I figure you could probably do that on your own without showing work. So your AC here is -240. Your B is -77. So the numbers that work are -80 and 3. So if you're going to do split the B, you'd get 0 equals 16t squared minus 80t plus 3t minus 15. Group and group. 0 equals 16t times t minus 5 plus 3 times t minus 5. Factored out again. 0 equals t minus 5 times 16t plus 3. 0 factor property gives us t minus 5 equals 0, which gives us t equals 5. And 16t plus 3 equals 0 gives us t equals -3/16. Of those two answers, -3/16 makes no sense. T equals 5 does make sense. Hunter, did you finally plug that back in and get the right answer?
I got 6,800 and 6,000.
Darn. Let me show you. If we want to plug that in for real, let's see here. Hunter, help me out, buddy. It was negative 16.
T squared.
So I'm going to go times 5 squared plus 77 times 5, right? Plus 15?
Yep.
Yeah.
Think about the meaning of your answer. It said, at what time does the arrow hit the ground? T equals 5 seconds. So that means when T is 5, the height better be 0.
I think I did negative 16 times 5 and then squared it.
Yeah, that would make a difference.
Yeah.
That would make a difference.
Question. Could you also do just like negative 16 parentheses
5 squared?
and then the parentheses to the square thing?
Sure. That would work.
It's crap.
That would work. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, our final topic. This is our final topic of this particular chapter. Like I mentioned before, hey, I think this bears repeating. I mentioned this before. We are going to do some graphing with quadratics. That is going to be Thursday and Friday this week. That'll allow us then on Monday of next week to review. Your quiz will be on Tuesday. So, all right, so we are going to do some Pythagorean theorem applications. Have you ever heard of the Pythagorean theorem?
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple questions. First question, what is it?
Equals D squared.
That is correct. That is a way that the Pythagorean theorem is often presented.
Apples plus bananas equals coconuts.
To what does this thing apply?
Don't you find the hypotenuse of a triangle with it?
What kind of triangle?
Right triangle.
This only applies to right triangles, not any triangle, but specifically right triangles. Right triangle is a triangle that has exactly one right angle, and that's the only thing the Pythagorean theorem applies to. It does not apply to any other type of triangle, only right triangles. So I thought we would talk about the parts of a right triangle, and Amelia just mentioned one of them. So here is a right triangle. There's my right angle down there in the lower right-hand corner. Does anybody know what that long side is that's across from the right angle? Hypotenuse. Hypotenuse in a right triangle is always the longest side of that triangle. The hypotenuse always goes with which letter in the Pythagorean theorem?
C.
It's always the C.
Coconut.
And then what about the other two sides? They don't get their own name. They have kind of the same name.
Their legs.
They're what?
Legs.
They're legs. Yep, this is one leg. There is the other leg. And of course, one of these legs goes with A and the other one with B. That doesn't really matter which one is which, but it very much matters that the hypotenuse is in the spot of the C. So, for that reason, I sometimes will say that the Pythagorean theorem is not A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I will say it's leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Because the letters can kind of be whatever we want them to be, but it's got to be leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. Sam?
Does it matter which leg is A or B?
It does not. It really doesn't, just because we're adding them, so I think we're okay messing the order up there, but the hypotenuse has to be the C. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do one example here together, and we'll hopefully have time to finish with one where you guys work together kind of on your own in groups. So here's the first one. It says the longer leg of a right triangle. Oh my goodness, look at that. It's like this is longer than this, and this is shorter, and hypotenuse, blah, blah, blah. What I'm thinking we ought to do, visualize this
Draw a diagram.
with a picture. Yes, draw a picture.
A graphic organizer.
Graphic organizer. I don't think we need to do a graphic organizer. I'm just going to go with a picture.
Yeah, picture.
Okay. So here is my right triangle. I'm going to label that right angle like that. And now I'm going to start trying to pick this out. It says the longer leg is 7 centimeters longer than the shorter leg. So these are both complete unknowns, aren't they? So what do we use when something is an unknown?
X.
So I'm going to say that the shorter leg is X. So there's my shorter leg. Therefore, the longer leg would be?
7.
Not 7. It's 7 longer than.
Oh, yes.
So X plus 7. That's right. So X plus 7. So and where I'm getting that from, of course, is 7 centimeter longer than the shorter leg. Then it goes on to talk about the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 8 centimeters longer than the shorter leg. So what do you think the hypotenuse should be labeled?
X plus 8.
X plus 8. I agree. Okay. Any questions so far? A lot of details here. Here we go. It wants us to find the lengths of all the sides of the triangles. Would it be fair to say that the key to finding all the lengths will be to figure out what x is? Because if I know what x is, then it's going to be a pretty short leap to get to all the lengths of the sides. The way that I'm going to do this is to use the Pythagorean theorem. Why am I allowed to use the Pythagorean theorem? It's a right triangle. If it didn't say that it was a right triangle, can't use it. We'd be kind of stuck. So here we go. Tell me, Rocky, what do you got?
X plus 7 in parentheses squared. Plus x squared equals x plus 8 in parentheses squared.
Rocky's idea is perfect. He's got legs squared plus the other leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared. Perfect setup. Any questions on what Rocky's done? Okay. There's definitely some kind of traps we want to navigate through here. X plus 7 squared is really x plus 7. You guys remember this from earlier this chapter? Times x plus 7. You want to watch out for that. And then x squared is just x squared. And of course this is x plus 8 times x plus 8. So how do we deal with the x plus 7s and the x plus 8s? Foil it. Yep, we got to foil it. So can anybody help me out? What is x plus 7 times x plus 7?
X squared plus 14x plus 49.
That is correct, Amelia. Well done. Plus x squared. Can somebody besides Amelia, because she's proven that she has this down pretty well, I think. Anybody else want to share about the x plus 8 times x plus 8?
X squared plus 16x plus 64.
Nice job. Who was that? Nice work. Okay, so can you guys see how this is a quadratic? We got x squareds and stuff like that. What's with our form? It's not great, is it? What could I do to get it into great form, like that standard form? Yeah, start subtracting things over, get everything on the same side, combine some like terms, see what happens. So x squared plus x squared is 2x squared. Plus 14x plus 49 is equal to x squared plus 16x plus 64. So I combine some like terms, but don't I need to get all the terms on the right, maybe over to the left? Can we do this mentally? What happens if I subtract x squared from both sides? You just get x squared, yeah. What happens if I subtract 16x from both sides? Negative 2x. And what if I subtract the 64 from both sides? Negative 15. Good job. Equals? 0. Awesome. We went from like being kind of complicated to, for you guys at least, not that complicated. You still have a quadratic. In order to solve it, we need to factor it. Can you guys see which numbers work? No, not negative. Negative 5 and 3 are the ones that work. So x minus 5, x plus 3 equals 0. The zero factor property tells us to set each of those factors equal to 0. So x minus 5 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. So I end up with two answers. Either x equals 5 or x equals negative 3. Of those two answers, which one makes no sense? Negative 3 makes no sense because you can't have a negative side length of a triangle. I know Rocky wants that to be the case, or he did at least. It's just not true. So x equals 5, are we done?
No, we don't square it.
No, we don't have to square it either. What did the question ask?
Find the lengths of the sides.
So 5 is the length of all the sides. No. It's the length of one of the sides, right? So I would say this side right here is 5.
Hypotenuse is 13, and then long leg is 12.
Long leg is 5 plus 7, which is 12. Hypotenuse is 5 plus 8, which is 13. So those are the sides of your triangle, 5, 12, and 13. Okay, so we got about 4 minutes left. I don't know if that's going to be enough time for you to complete all of it. But when you guys move on to number 6, it's quite similar to what you just did. So give it a shot. Get as much of it done as you can. Jake,
Would you accept that as an answer?
definitely.
Just did a little drawing.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep, that's good work. Okay, so let's get as much of number 6 done as you can. At least set it up, get started on it. We might have to continue it tomorrow. A right triangle is 2 inches longer than the shorter leg. The hypotenuse is 4 inches longer than the shorter leg. Find the length of the sides of the triangle. This is really the same question with different numbers. So give it a shot. You can use number 5 as kind of a reference. Try this one with a partner. Compare your answers.